For the past 2 years, I've been a part of a club at my school known as Junior World Affairs Council, or JWAC for short. Now, the intention of this organization is to provide students with opportunities to foster their interest and gain knowledge when it comes to current events and world affairs through a variety of activities such as volunteering or general discussion. And a select number of students can also participate in a competition known as Academic World Quest, in which small teams study copious amounts of foreign policy information and are then quizzed over it through a Scantron test. And at first glance, this organization and this competition can seem like a really beneficial thing for students. However, a trend occurs that the turnout rates for meetings based solely around the competition are much higher than those based on general discussion. And based on my experience with this, it's become evident that more people will be interested in an event that can add to their college applications rather than having the opportunity to gain empathy and a new perspective using current events. Because at this point in time, it so often feels that if we aren't building up our resume, we're ultimately going to be falling behind. So roughly 40 hours of my every week are spent within the walls of my high school classrooms. And of those hours, I would say that usually less than one is spent discussing the news. This gap in information that students are not receiving is contributing to a generation that lacks much needed empathy. By not placing a major focus on major world events, it becomes easy for teenagers like myself to not think about other people and instead be trapped in a bubble that only encompasses ourselves. I shouldn't be able to go into one of my classes the day after a major shooting in a major capital city like Paris and see that there's more to say about how some of the songs on an artist's new album sound a little too similar to one another, rather than the tragedy that just occurred. We need to understand and comprehend how to speak aloud about serious issues and the breaking news, to think and to convey our opinions while maintaining to not be derogatory. Major events demand discussion. It is so often criticized that members of my millennial generation are apathetic. But by encouraging teenagers to go out and comprehend and process all of these occurrences in the lives of other people, we gain insight into the hardships faced by others of different races, socioeconomic backgrounds, religions, and a variety of other factors. Now, this criticism does not apply to every student and to every class. For example, students in debate deal with news on a very constant and very rapid basis. But we have to admit that some students do not have a natural inclination or an interest to learn about the world around them through current events. And for others, it can be intimidating to express an interest because of the sheer amount of information that is out there. Therefore, our high school curriculum needs to be structured to encourage curiosity in what our international peers are experiencing. I mean, sure, we are learning a ton of important historical events and a ton of important, phenomenal scientific discoveries that have already happened. But what about the discoveries and the events that are occurring and happening today? And I have also mentioned that there are clubs at my school, like JWAC, that do try to promote an interest in the news. But to really utilize these clubs and make them more effective, we'd have to build up membership diversity and also build up the general appeal. We've asked the administration to talk about our clubs to other students and promote our ideas. We've put updates on the morning announcement systems, but doing all of these things has still resulted in fairly minimal results. So what if we took current events and we integrated them directly into the classroom setting? A great example of this is my humanities class, which over the course of freshman and sophomore years allows students to gain their Honors English 1 credit and their AP World History credit. So twice a week, every week, my teachers in this class pick a news article from a reputable source and post it on the class website. And it's our job to look at the article, review and highlight and memorize all of its important information, and then the next day we'll be asked a single question over this text, and it's our job to get it right. And I'll admit that the first time most of us students heard about being asked only one question over multiple pages of reading, we were not the most excited. But benefit derives from being introduced to a new concept and a new story that's occurring today. And another great thing is when my teachers take this article and they elaborate on notions within it the next day. There's a really wide spectrum of fields that we do get to read about, and they're able to structure our discussions and answer questions in very unbiased yet relatable manners. So, of course, this works well for humanities, because there's definite parallels between what's already happened in history and what's going on today. But what about other classes? How could they incorporate these current events? Could math classes take in statistics and put those in problems? Could science classes show how lessons that are being taught in school are utilized on a daily basis bases at state-of-the-art institutions and research facilities? Could English classes have more writing assignments about modern-day controversies? Because one of my favorite English assignments from the last semester was actually when we were asked to pick a topic in the news, research it, and then present our opinion on it in a persuasive paper. And this was great because it made us all have to sit down and actually research these topics, which we so often overlook. And another powerful method of bringing in current events into the classroom is using social media and technology. Social media serves as a default method of communication for a lot of us, and as a way to stay updated in real time. We could use these social media sites like Twitter feeds, Facebook pages, and websites to create a platform where current events are more easily accessible, and these current events can be put in a place where students will most likely actually see them and pay attention to them. So doing all of these things will suddenly allow for students to graduate more prepared and with more empathy. They'll have a working idea of the current job market and of the economy. They'll know why certain countries are fighting certain wars and how things like international crisis or diplomatic tension is fed. It's information that will assist us in developing our own opinions and determining what's right and what's wrong. It's information that will assist us in voting polls, overseas travel locations, and at those dinner parties where we just want to sound fancy. It's incredibly pressing and incredibly urgent to find a balance between the past and the present when considering materials to be presented within schools. The education system is in desperate need of updates and reforms, and having teachers talk about the news in a classroom setting is the place to start. It's time we move beyond the barriers and the obstacles set down by rigidly structured school curriculum and textbooks, and it's finally time we allow students to enrich themselves with newfound information that will help them gain a better comprehension of the world around us. Thank you.